boss music starts, adrenaline pumps, and your hands get shaky. This is the feeling that comes to most players at the start of a boss fight. Boss fights are an important factor of most video games and are used in various ways in game design. They can be a fun challenge, a test of strength, or a metaphorical wall that requires mastery of a certain concept. I am working on a 2D platformer called 5 Dice, and I thought it would be cool to add a boss fight to it. There are many 2D platformers that have great boss fights, such as Yoshi's Island, Hollow Knight, and even Celeste. I want to take concepts from these games' bosses and incorporate them into mine. If you want to see how I do it, be sure to watch till the end. So first I want to make my boss fight contribute to the lore of my game. In 5 Dice, the protagonist Triste is on a quest to find his old friend. He isn't the most confident and tends to be insecure. He doubts at times if he's capable of finding his friend. I want to use this insecurity somehow and turn it into a boss fight. With this game, I wanted to add some of the best parts of my favorite platformers and expand upon them. So I decided to take a concept from Celeste and further expand on it. In Celeste, there's a villain that acts as part of Madeline. At some point, she ends up being confronted by this bad version of herself. She tries to talk sense into it, but the bad part of herself doesn't listen, and then a boss fight starts. During the boss fight, Madeline has to collide with Badeline to deal damage, and Madeline can't progress to the next screen until she attacks Badeline. So to incorporate this, I decided to make an evil Triste looking sprite, along with a nice opening dialogue cutscene. After I got all of the lore and sprites made, I had the problem of actually trying to replicate Celeste's fight. I decided to add a bunch of different boss sprites that have simple projectile attacks, and only have one sprite toggled on at a time. Next I added a collider to these, and once the collider is hit, it switches through the sprites till all of them have been toggled on at some point. You may think I directly copied Celeste, which I kinda did, but the gameplay is surprisingly very different from the Celeste boss fight. In Celeste, the player can dash as much as they want and have a very large range of mobility at any time. However, 5 Dice is different. In my platformer, you also have a diverse movement, but your actions rely on how much dice you have at a given time. The dice can be used to double jump, dash, wall climb, or even as a platform to help get through spikes. Dice are a very powerful tool in my game, but you can only use 5 per scene. Adds a new dynamic to my Celeste-like boss fight. First of all, at the start, you don't know how many sprites each room has for the boss. Second, you have to plan and conserve your dice accordingly, making every single movement mean a lot more than in Celeste. Basically, I turned the Celeste boss into a very intense puzzle that has very little room for failure. All I had to do now was just make some platforming rooms for the fight, and with that the fight was completely made. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on this game's development, I encourage you to subscribe. And if you're interested, I'll have 2 videos listed on an info card on the top right of the screen. One of these videos is a full gameplay showcase of an early version of this fight, and the second one is an OST video that I uploaded that shows the snazzy boss song that I made for this fight. I'll try to get a new devlog out in the next few weeks, but until then, have a good rest of your day.